Hello everyone, happy Valentine's Day. I am Lillymu 961 and today we are going to do something a little bit different on the channel in honor of the month of love. It's also the month of Kingdom Hearts apparently. Like, good lord, D23 was just the other day and I totally missed everything. There's been news and it's just all kinds of craziness and the trailers and the new music in my brain. So anyway, over the past several weeks, I have been catching up on some reading and recently decided to reread and review a series I haven't looked at since high school, the Immortals series by Alyson Noël. The first book in this series, Evermore, focuses on 16-year-old Everbloom who gained an array of psychic abilities after surviving a horrific car crash that claimed the lives of her entire family. These abilities consist of seeing auras, hearing thoughts, instant knowledge of a person's life story whenever touched, and the ability to see and interact with the spirits of the dead, mainly her younger sister Riley. Seeing these powers as a punishment, Ever avoids contact with people and becomes a social outcast at her new school following the events of the accident. This changes with the appearance of Damon Auguste, a new student who entices the entire student body on site except for Ever, who would really rather avoid him. However, it isn't long before she notices her inability to hear his thoughts or see his aura, making him the only person she cannot read. And to make matters more complicated, while the rest of the school, including her best friend Haven, is interested in him and wants to date him and are just like, oh my gosh, David, oh. He's only interested in her and she's just like, why can you not be interested in me? I don't want you, honey, I don't want you. Though she later becomes inexplicably drawn to Damon, Ever soon discovers inconsistencies in his behavior, speech, and abilities that scream something inhuman and potentially deadly, especially when a woman from his past makes an appearance. What follows is a story of drama, grief, forgiveness, and most importantly, love. Okay, so my most recent read-through of this book marks the third time that I've read it. When I was in high school, I read it twice and loved it. And while I still enjoy the book now, I can't say that it's as good as I remember it, which has left me a little concerned about how I'll feel about the other books in the series since I don't exactly have the fondest memories of those books. But for now, let's just introduce our main cast of characters and then I will get to the spoiler-free version of my thoughts. The main cast of characters are as follows: Everbloom, Damon Auguste, Riley Bloom, Haven, Miles, Drina, Ever's Aunt Sabine, and Ava. Some of these characters play more of a supporting role in this story, but will have more prominence in later books. Now, let's get into some reasons why you, yes you out there watching this video right now, these are reasons why you should read this book. The first reason you may want to pick up this book is because Evermore is so addictive. The writing is fluid, the story is engaging, you won't find yourself getting bored with it. And the main reason for this is because of Ever herself. She is a really well-developed protagonist. Her situation is unique. She struggles through grief while also dealing with the burden of psychic abilities she can't control. She's also very self-aware, which makes for some good humor. She feels like a real person dealing with these sorts of issues. And she's just someone that you would want to reach out and help if you could, but you can't. And so the entire time you just want her to win. That's the main thing. She's a character that you want to win, and because she's narrating, it makes the story so fun yet also emotional to read. It's really spot on. Another great thing about this book is Ever's relationship with the spirit of her younger sister Riley. Even though Riley is dead, the two of them still communicate as if she were alive. They argue, they laugh together, and for a good long period of time, Ever lives solely for the visits from her sister up until the point Damon arrives and shakes things up. Speaking of Damon, the romantic moments he and Ever share are genuinely sweet. He makes Ever feel better about herself, and I really liked that. What I like most, though, is that the plot still centers mainly on Ever's struggle to control her powers, her self-loathing, and the trial and error process of overcoming the chaos surrounding her life while finding someone who makes her forget she isn't normal for a little while. Another great thing is that Damon is not the perfect romantic lead, although the book will initially portray him as such. His flaws become more apparent as the story continues, and for YA fiction, I think it's good for his persona of perfection to be gone. As I'm just glad it's not there for the whole book, because if it were, he would be a really boring character. So it's nice that at a certain point in the story, that gets flipped, and he's not the perfect guy. He actually has some issues that would make you question whether he would actually be a good guy forever at all. Another thing that's good about this book is that the plot twists are well executed. The very first time I read this book, I thought I had a clear idea of what was happening and what was going to happen, and then all of a sudden the story took this crazy turn, and from then on I couldn't guess what was coming. So if you're looking for a book that can keep you on your toes a little, this one does the job. The other characters are fairly engaging as well, although there is one, just one in particular that I don't really like very much. And I'll explain that when I get to the cons of this book, But one more thing to like about this book, and it's more of a fun fact rather than just something to love about the book itself. There is a Friends reference in the first chapter that I finally caught on to after my third reading of this book. I knew watching Friends would make me more culturally sound. Haha, yes. So anyway, on to the cons of this book. Some reasons that may turn you off to the book. Not that I probably should tell you if I want you to get the book, but, well, I just figure you should know. You should know the truth. So the first con is that character I was just explaining, the one that I do not like. Her name is Haven. She is Ever's best friend, and I do not like her. And you probably won't like her because she's very self-centered, and she has a lot of that mean girl cliquey mentality, and she likes to make claim on guys and be like, you can't date him because I called dibs, as if you could call dibs on a person.
So let me get this straight. You told some girl she couldn't date me because you had already called dibs.
You know, when you put it that way, it sounds really petty and kind of dumb, but you see, what happened was...
No excuses. She could have been the love of my life.
Yeah, not after I broke her nose.
You did what?
Nothing. I did nothing. You heard none of that. Not a thing. Nothing.
Well, anyway, while we're still in this cutaway, I need to ask you a question.
What is it?
What the heck happened to my voice?
But okay. We're just gonna get over that. Another thing that could throw some readers off is that some of the references are dated, like really dated. But that's to be expected since the book came out, I think, in 2009, and 2009 was almost 10 years ago. And now I feel very, very old. Another thing that some readers may not like is that Ever is sometimes too forgiving toward Damon. He's kind of shady, and Ever is rightfully suspicious of him, but all it takes are a couple sweet words, and she turns to mush. I mean, she's only 16, so I don't expect her to be 100% rational, but as an adult, it does bug me a little, and it may bug some of you guys a little bit. Another thing that's a little off about this story is that some of the romance scenes, while sweet, are a tad bit cheesy. Not that I really mind, but potential readers might be turned off to that. There are also times in this book when I think Damon is a massive idiot. Despite showing that he is intelligent in a variety of ways, when it comes to dealing with women, he can be really, really stupid. And he makes some really selfish, boneheaded decisions that just make everything crazy. But to know about that, you'll have to read the book. Another thing is that the story has an antagonist, but that antagonist isn't revealed until the latter part of the second half of this book, which makes the ending slightly rushed, and it's clear sequel baiting to boot. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but upon this third read-through, the obvious, read the next book, yeah, that kind of annoyed me a bit. So, it's up to you whether you want to get this book or not, but my overall opinion is as follows. Evermore is a book with a lot of spirit packed into it. Though parts are dated and a little too Mean Girl-esque for me, I enjoy this book because of Ever's narration. In terms of female YA protagonists, she is still one of my favorites even after all these years because she's relatable and beneath all the crazy things she's had to deal with, just a normal girl, you know? Just normal. Even though everything in her life is beyond non-normal, she herself is just a normal person. She's scarred, but not broken. This particular book in the series has the strongest messages concerning grief, moving on, and forgiving yourself, and it's for these reasons that I still really love this book despite some of its more major problems that I will discuss in depth in a spoiler version of this review, which will be up on the channel at a later time. For anyone looking for something fast-paced and reminiscent of classic YA stories, the first book of the Immortals series may be something to check out. I definitely recommend the first book of the series. Does that mean that I recommend the entire series? Well, that's a question you won't know the answer to until I make the next review. Until then, be sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video to let me know if you would like more of this content. Thank you and have a lovely day. Mwah!